News Channel 5 Network. This is Urban Outlook.
And hello and welcome to Urban Outlook. I'm April Eaton. Thank you so much for being with us today. You know, we often have conversations about the important role parents play when it comes to their children's school, making sure that they get involved, that they do things at the school, that they make sure they keep up to date on what their children are doing there. Well, there's a new program that's about to roll out in Metro Public Schools, and it's all about making sure dads have an impact in those schools. It's called Watch D.O.G.S, Dads of Great Students. And we have two guests here to talk about how this came about and the importance of this program. Tony Majors is the Metro Nashville Public Schools Chief Student Services Officer. Thank you so much for being here, Mr. Majors.
Glad to be here.
And also Chris Walter, who is a parent of a first grader at Una Elementary School and a new member of the Watch D.O.G.S group as well. Thank you so much for being here as well.
Glad to be here.
So talk to me about this program, because I just sort of thought we already had a program like this in place where we had dads going in and monitoring the halls and walking the halls and serving as role models. But you corrected me and said, no, we don't. So this is the start for us.
Well, that's true. I mean, I've been in Metro for several years, and of course we always have PTOs or PTAs and other parent advisory councils that function in our schools. But this is the first initiative that I can recall in which we actually intentionally targeted fathers or male role models to take part in our schools. And it's just it's a great opportunity for us to not only increase the level of parental engagement, but have a targeted audience in which we're saying, we need you in our educational setting. Dads, uncles, stepdads, we need you in the educational process to help support our schools and our children.
Tony, talk about the importance of that, of having that parental involvement. I mean, it seems obvious to some, but as an educator and an educator that's been in our schools for quite some time and in different capacities, how critical is it that you have parents involved, and in this case, have fathers involved in schools?
Well, parental engagement is always just one of the early indicators of a child's success. All children are not going to be internally motivated to be highly successful academically. They need that push. Parents provide that extra push. But the biggest thing is that parents show a value for education. You know, their presence shows that they value the educational process. Unfortunately, far too often, dads are often removed from that process. The information comes home about a PTA meeting or an event, it always goes to mama. This time we're saying, dads, there's a role for you. There's a place for you in our school system. And that means a lot, especially, I'm not going to say just to young boys, but predominantly to young boys, the fact that there's a male figure that's saying, your schooling is important. I have expectations for your behavior at school, but I have expectations for your effort at school as well. So it's important to the overall development of a child and their educational success.
Chris, you're a parent of a first grader over at Una.
Yes.
What made you want to be a part of a program like this? And you may have already been involved before, I'm thinking.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have a 6-year-old who's at Una Elementary, and of course my wife and I, it was very important. We try to instill in him the importance of education. So this program just kind of gives me an opportunity to take that next step to say, you know what, this is what we teach at home, but I'm going to be there still for you. Basically being a role model for him, and not just for my son but other students as well. So it's just an opportunity for me to kind of get involved and kind of get back to the community.
It's always fascinating to me how quickly kids latch on to grown folk, to parents.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You talked before we started the show about an example of a young student that already knew who you were when you walked through the hall.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There.
So yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, just walking in and just kind of making a presence. Of course, you know, when you see kids, you walk into a school, you know, you give them high fives, hey, how you doing, you know, we're gonna have a great day at school today, and just make a presence, you know, a positive presence in the school. And I think they kind of recognize it, because a lot of times you don't see a lot of male teachers, male role models in the schools. So just like you said, usually just the moms, but not really the dads.
Right.
Yeah.
So this program, this Watch D.O.G.S program, there is a process that people have to go through. There's a training, first of all, that the male participants have to go through. Talk a little bit about that training, and then how you plan to implement it in each of the schools.
Well, I think it started with our event on January the 16th, where we had the launch at Bridgestone Arena, and I do have to thank the Nashville Predators for hosting that event. But that was our first large-scale training, and we had over 150 people in attendance for that event, and that was the first training, so they were trained on the Watch D.O.G. process. After that, it's the process of ordering the kits. Each individual school orders their kit, and then they assign a top dog. Top dog right here. So the top dog actually assumes the responsibility of working with the school principal to, number one, help schedule and identify dads to come in and join on and be a part of the process, and to schedule the events and the solicitation and the recruitment events for the fathers. Once we have that in place, then it's a training for each individual watchdog, and they have to conduct the training prior to ever working in the school. We've also built in some additional steps that are just safeguards for us as a school district to make sure that we're following all the legal requirements for volunteering in the building. So every watchdog or every father has to go through a background check with the Pencil Foundation. They also have to be registered as an adult who has the right to see or pick up the child, so that they have to be registered with the child's record. And of course, we check in their background check against felony and any type of sexual issues that would prevent them from functioning in our school system.
We were looking at some video there. Were you surprised about the turnout? You said about 150 people turned out. That shows you, first of all, the power and the interest that there is behind this program. But were you surprised to see how many people really wanted to participate in this?
I really wasn't. A lot of times as dads, I know that we'll sit back, and it's just sort of inbred in us that if it's a PTO meeting or a bake sale or something like that, mama goes.
Right.
It doesn't mean fathers don't want to be actively engaged in their child's education. This was very intentional. We were very fortunate. Shelley Baldwin is our parent advisory council chair, and she was really, really motivated. So I knew she was out beating the bushes and really communicating with schools and others to make sure that we had a good turnout. But the number of fathers or men that were in attendance that night, they were there because they see the need. And not only that, I feel that most of them know that they can solicit another 5 to 10 dads to come in and join in this process as well. So I really was not surprised.
Chris, as the top dog at your school there, I wonder what you plan to do to motivate others to participate, because I guess that's got to be one of your roles, right? You've got a group of men now who want to be a part of it. But how do you continue to bring that interest in? How do you continue to make sure that you've got the volunteers in place to make this program successful?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think you have to be committed to make a presence. And of course, when you make a presence, you bring you kind of positive about, like I said, the importance of education. We want to talk with the kids. We want to be friendly. We want to talk with them and see how the day is going. You're gonna have a good day at school today, things like that. So, but I have quite a few friends that I've talked to about it, and they're definitely interested, but of course they have to kind of go through that process, which they will, of course, and they're interested. So I'm excited about the program, actually.
Is it going to be, I would think at the elementary level it might be easier to find those volunteers, but as you get, our kids change when they get middle school and then of course high school, right? They change just a little bit. They sometimes get into themselves, but is it going to be tougher to find those volunteers in a high school versus an elementary or middle?
Even when I was first exposed to this program, I anticipated being an elementary school program, but oddly enough, for our launch event, there were 44 schools in attendance, 24 elementary, 14 middle, but we had 5 high schools, and then one exceptional program that wanted to go through the process as well. So for us, we only have 12 comprehensive high schools. 5 of them were there for the initial launch. So I mean, it was a big surprise. But when you think about it, being in a high school setting, it's really no different. It's about building the relationship with the kids. It's about that presence. Right. So regardless of the tier level or instructional level, it's about building the relationship with kids and having that connection to school.
You talked about this a little earlier. You said that these men are not going to be security guards. They're not going to necessarily be there to keep the peace. But this program actually started out of an effort to make sure that kids were safe in school. After the Columbine shootings, this program came about to make sure that there were male role models in place in roaming school halls and making sure that kids stayed safe. And then, of course, they built the mentoring relationships while it came about. But so is the security piece a piece of this program?
I would say yes, but not from a traditional security standpoint. Of course, you did mention that the founders of Watch D.O.G.S founded this program immediately following the Columbine shooting, and it was developed out of their desire to do something. They just wanted to do something, and from their desires, they built the Watchdog model. Now, From a security standpoint, no, they will not be arresting. No, they will not be arming
Right.
security systems. They
Right.
won't do anything like that. What our dads will provide is another set of eyes in the school building. You know, whether that's roaming the halls, if you see someone not wearing an ID tag, instructing them to go to the office, checking the doors as they're making rounds throughout the building, or even on the playground. You know, keeping their eyes out for what's taking place in the community. So from a security standpoint, that would be some of the services they would provide. But one thing about the Watchdog program is every dad that volunteers has a schedule. And the top dog and administrator develop that daily schedule.
Yes.
And they begin their day in the classroom with their child. But following that first class period, they may be assisting with reading in the library. It may just be walking the halls. It may be assisting with lunch and just being in there to remind kids to pick up their trays or just having conversations. But it also may be throwing the football or shooting the basketball during the physical education class.
Yeah.
So, and then the little things, you know, and this is a security component as well, but being there to greet the kids when they get out of the parents' car or get off the bus in the morning. You know, he said high fives 2 or 3 times. That means something to kids.
It does.
That's making contact, that's building a relationship, and the kids will actually look forward to it. So there are multiple. The watchdogs will impact multiple aspects of our educational process.
I'm watching your face as you're talking about this, and I can tell you're excited about the opportunity here. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk more about the program, and also for those schools who may not have come to the interest meeting in January, how they can maybe get a part of this program as well. We'll be right back after this.